Welcome to the Tactics Show, and no question about that. Guests today are Dharnish. How's it going?
It's going. Another podcast of talking about another loss. United are out of the cup.
Another podcast of shame. Have you Ramadan? What's the correct? Ramadan Mubarak? What's the correct?
Ramadan Kareem or Ramadan Mubarak are both fine.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's an interesting time of year. I always like times of year because we go through as humans, you do the same thing every year. So I always like this time of year. It's pretty, I went to the game, I went to the United Fulham game, and I didn't feel as though I knew it was that important, but no, sometimes when you play it down and you're like, oh no, it's the cup. After today, the entire day, all I could think about was how important it actually was and how important it was that we've exited the cup.
There's Daniel. Daniel, how's it going?
I'm all right. How are you?
Surviving. It was important in that it's an opportunity for a trophy and it's an opportunity for European football, although it would have been the Conference League. So, swings and roundabouts.
Hang on. Do you not get Europa out of the cup now?
Not anymore.
I don't think so. I think it's Conference League, yeah.
Oh, I don't. I mean, honestly, I haven't heard whether anything has changed, but it's quite stinging because I think the cup has had a bit of a comeback. Teams are really holding it to importance this year. It's had really good narratives in the last 3 years. It probably saved Ten Hag's job last season. It was compelling 3 years ago when Klopp was trying to go for 4 trophies. But it's definitely had its comeback now, the FA Cup. I feel like, especially this weekend, when you think about all the blood, guts, and thunder, each game felt like there was a bit of violence to it. Newcastle, Brighton had a red card. Wolves had a red card.
Yeah.
Mateta
2 red cards.
Almost. I mean, it had that horrible challenge. Yeah, 2 red cards. So it's more important than what I even thought, and we're out.
And it's also important to not make the rest of the season unbearable, where at least a couple of the games mean something.
All right, so we will get onto the tactics, but you briefly mentioned it there, Dharnish, the challenge by the Millwall keeper on the Palace player, Mateta, one of the greatest pieces of violence on a football pitch I've ever seen. Fly kicked him in the head and only got a yellow card for it.
Insane.
Great stuff.
Absolutely insane.
Top. Yeah. All right. Tactics show. So we're going to run through a few tactical things. The shape, which was kind of interesting. The role that Eriksen and Bruno played together in midfield. It struggles progressing the ball out of the back three. Just how unthreatening or our lack of threat we looked like. Although we had quite a few shots on target, it diminished over time. And then Fulham's very high percentage possession figure. And what does that mean for how we're playing this game? So, Dharnish, initial impressions on the shape. I mean, it depends where you're sat in the ground. Sometimes it can be hard to see if you're in row A.
No, they were very good seats. They were very good seats. The Sir Bobby stand. It was I'm on the halfway line, so I saw absolutely everything.
All right.
A few things sort of stick out. The back three. I don't know how many times I have to hammer it home. I feel like for the left and the right centre back, Maguire needs to be one of them, especially with Martinez out. De Ligt can't pass in the same way that Maguire can, and then you lose the ball to one of the fullbacks that's wide, or you lose a cut and pass in the middle. The other thing as well, Eriksen and Casemiro last season, they've had an interesting journey because 2 seasons ago, people forget it, but their partnership with the Varane and Martinez partnership were huge in what Man United were trying to do. They were a large reason for why that first season under Ten Hag was a big success. Third, losing 11 games in 68, getting to an FA Cup final, winning the Carabao Cup. That partnership was huge for that. But last season, it was deduced Eriksen's not mobile enough. Casemiro can't cover 40 yards anymore. So we need to get rid of him. So the problem was yesterday when Bruno kept finding him in the half space and he moved about well. He turned and I was like, oh, it's Eriksen. He's not going to move forward 20 yards. Despite him being in the right position and moving players about. So having a front three starting with Xerxes, Eriksen, and Højlund, none of that front three is going to run in behind. Højlund might, but Højlund's like the only one that is going to do it in that front three, and he doesn't have any support. And you add into the fact that his confidence is absolutely on the floor. Every time the ball was going into the channels, He just got easily muscled by Calvin Bassey.
Yeah.
And then you look around and you go, okay, fine, we're getting Eriksen into some space. He's progressing the ball. And you go, no, but he's not mobile enough.
He didn't look like Eriksen to me. Didn't look like he was playing in the front three. I know this is kind of moot because Amorim talks about principles of play rather than necessarily shape and all of this. But I mean, he looked much more like he was the most advanced of a 3-man midfield. But maybe this is moot again. And again, he, as you say, he was finding the half spaces, but not moving the ball forward. No one to hit because you had 2 statues up front.
But if you at home would have deduced that was the plan, and Ugarte was, if you think that Eriksen was the triangle or the most forward of a 3-man midfield, then your other problem is Ugarte is deeper, Fernandes is deeper, Eriksen isn't that much far ahead, and then you've got Xerxes and Højlund against the defense, and that's it. The amount of times that even when they got it into space and it was Xerxes and Højlund against the back four, I was like, there's nothing going on here. We're hoping 2 strikers who aren't in, like Højlund's not in form. Xerxes getting better as a player, game in, game out. But hoping that they sort of conjure something up. It's not a way to create chances. And it wasn't for a long time until Garnacho came on and then Obi came on. But that was when sort of the game was in its later stages. Both teams were tired and it became a little bit more transitional, as you said. There was some chances to win the game, but they came largely in extra time. And they came largely as a surprise to no one when Garnacho came on. There is nothing. Yeah. It's just Xerxes, Højlund, Eriksen, Ugarte, Fernandes as a front 5 is not attacking enough. And for large periods of the game, what I also didn't like was Fulham probably looked more comfortable in possession. They played about the ball a lot better than what United did. I can't tell if it's the injuries or what, but it's just a non-press from United each time. And I'm thinking the last time you pressed in the second half against Tottenham, it worked. So I don't really understand why you're not doing it anymore. Yeah.
And it's not like they've got loads and loads of games. They've had quite a bit of space in the calendar at the moment. So I'm not sure it's a physical.
Right, but they played with 10. They played with 10 at the weekend, in midweek.
And had 120 minutes before that. Yeah.
Quite a long time with 10. Sorry. And then another 120 minutes potential for that, and a European away trip. And Xerxes and Eriksen can't run. It's, I guess, with personnel like that, it is quite hard to press. You can maybe use one of them, especially Xerxes, because he's a big lad, as someone who might defend the cover shadow, who might defend the cover shadow and stop a pass just with his presence. But in terms of the actual scurrying about, he's not that guy, really, is he?
He's not, and many of them aren't. I mean, Dharnish, you were bringing up the kind of front 5. I mean, amongst United's attacking players, it's really only Bruno who has any goal scoring and or creative threat. In fact, he was the quarterback. He was doing the tackling. If you look at Bruno's stats, he's like number 1 for ball recoveries as well in this. So he's our best defender, our best midfielder, and our best attacker at the moment.
Which is funny, really, because earlier on today, I believe Stephen Warnock said on Sky, such a talented player on the ball, but off the ball, he's nowhere near good enough to, and then went on to say he's too easy to play against. He scores makes lots of goals. That makes him quite difficult. How is Stephen Warnock even a fucking thing? Anyway, I don't get it. You're not good. You're not articulate. You're not clever, and you didn't do very much in the game. So how on earth have you got a job doing what you do? I don't get it at all.
Yeah, but he wears glasses, so he's the intellectual football pundit. I think that's basically it. Yeah, I know. It's the criticism of Bruno has less basis by the week. I mean, he's adapted to playing in a 2 in midfield perfectly well. He does get about. Sure, he's not the biggest, but he's just not the biggest. So if that's a criticism, I'm not really sure that I understand it. He's scoring important goals. He's got 12 goals and assists in his last 12 games. He's United's everyman, and we would literally be in the relegation zone without him. So I'm really struggling to understand the criticism, which seems to be widespread and was definitely egged on by Roy Keane last weekend. All right. Dharnish, I want to get back to this point about United's inability to progress it out of the back three, because it's really noticeable how often it went from goalkeeper to centre backs to one of our wing backs, and then went backwards again to Onana, who punted it long, and it just doesn't seem to be much of a winning formula.
I'm just thank you for reminding me of that, because the amount of times I was like, I've seen Andre Onana hoof it far too much since arriving at Man United. We bought this keeper because he could pass it out from the back, right? We saw all these lovely videos of him at Inter Milan shooting out these pinpoint passes and cutting through midfielders and defenders. And now what happens is every time the left centre-back has it or the right centre-back has it, Maguire, we'll get onto his positioning in a little bit. The left centre-back has it, the right centre-back has it. The full-back drops deeper to come in. Whoever is the midfielder next to you, be it Fernandes or Ugarte, he comes in as well. All three of them are marked. The full-back is marked. The centre-back is marked. The midfielder inside is marked. What you're supposed to do in that position is use the fact that an opponent is pressing you by two ways. You either go over the top to your striker, or you find a spare man in the middle. You find some spare man in the middle or over the top because of the fact that the opposition have committed a lot of men up the pitch, right? You break through the press. Instead, what Man United do is go back to the keeper. He just hoops it long. The problem that I have with this is it's not even...
Shit.
Yeah, but it's not even a conservative effort or a focused effort, as in, this is what we've planned to do, and this is going to go somewhere. This is going to lead to somewhere. City and Liverpool did it 3 seasons ago. Direct balls over the top, specifically in areas where they knew they could get it. So Edison would go long to Haaland because he's one of the best chesters in the world. Or they'd put it wide to Salah. It feels like Onana literally just hoops it because that's the only thing he could do. There isn't a targeted plan.
Yeah.
You can work this in different ways. Then they started trying to go long to Xerxes, and that worked a little bit more, but they need to come up with different ways of doing this, because it's quite clear that the opponent's pressing them. They don't have an answer of how to break the press. You need to use the fact that there's a lot of men committed up the pitch. That's how you break through a press. Whether that's like committing another midfielder to go a little bit deeper, whether that's bringing another midfielder close into you, whether that's bringing both of them close to you and then switching the ball, or using like Maguire as a means of coming over, because Inter Milan do it as well. It's just we see it so often. I'm tired of watching Onana hoof it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, part of the problem is that United are effectively playing with 10 because Højlund, like he was marked out of the game. I was looking at, I can't believe this. I'm looking at guess how many touches he had. He played 70 minutes, 9 touches. He can't keep it when he goes long. He doesn't move. And so there's no available pass. He's not moving into the channels, which is becoming a broken record criticism now. He's like, I don't know that you can justify it with like confidence in the way that Amorim kind of mentioned. So it's pretty desperate, and really he needs some time out of the team, I think, in order to like reset, because 18 games without a goal now, it's not going to just suddenly happen, especially if you only have 9 touches and 1 shot.
He had nine touches more than us.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The answer might be to play Chidi Obi a bit more, but of course, and we can get onto what we think of his role and what he brings to the team, because it was different. But of course, United have left him out of the Europa League squad, so he won't play on Thursday. Great work, United. Top administrating there. There's a spare space in the squad. We've got 1 less than we could have, and we didn't add him. Awesome stuff. What can we do to fix this? Got any tactical masterstrokes here, Dharnish, that you've seen that
my head is in my hands? It just feels like we've seen this for so long now under Amorim, and it feels like it's not changing. It feels like it's not moving anywhere.
It's not.
It feels like we're not doing anything
worse.
different. The only thing I can think of is playing Garnacho, playing another winger, and just getting everybody in one zone when everybody presses us, and then having a spare man in the middle. So pushing Maguire up would be one thing. I think instead of him just sitting back as the short option, push him up in the middle. So then he's the spare man inside. Against City, this worked really well, by the way. Mainly because City, maybe their out possession is kind of shit now, which it is. There was always a spare man in the middle. So when United pressed in one zone, Ugarte or one of the central midfielders was there as the spare man in the middle. You could use Maguire as that. You could push him up as that. Or you could even push one of the opposing wingers on the opposite wing, Xerxes, and drop him back in as well. One sort of glimmer of hope that I have seen, Xerxes is getting better at moving his man around in one of those 10 positions. It's just, there are things that we can do, like I've just said. I don't know if they will do that. And I don't know whether we're just going to continue seeing Højlund get bullied by 4 defenders.
What did you think of Xerxes' role? Because he got on the ball quite a bit, and there are some nice touches there, but it doesn't feel like there's much actual threat coming from his time in possession.
He needs to develop an end product. I thought his ball over the top to Garnacho was very good, and Garnacho's weird. I don't know what happened with that. Why was the shot so weak? Basically, P-rolled it to
the defender leant on him. It was the defender leant on him.
I thought he could have
get it away.
I thought he could have got a better shot away, but Xerxes definitely in that 10 role is starting to understand things. We need to develop some end product there. Maybe that comes when you have a settled 3, but it is pretty eye-opening to me that he works better with the players that didn't start. He worked better with Hobby. He worked better with Garnacho. It was miles better when Garnacho came on, by the way, because finally you just had a winger who was running at defenders and you had a fullback overlapping. That's how the goal came about, by the way.
What do we think about Fulham having so much possession? I mean, this Amorim's side in Portugal, very dominant on the ball. He's talked about being dominant in games as well, and yet United gave up 60% possession in this game. And it was kind of noticeable in extra time, although we seemed very comfortable. It's not like Fulham had any chances to win it. We had 1 shot on target in extra time.
Wow, really?
So, yeah. And just gave up a lot of possession. So why were they so dominant on the ball? Was that a deliberate ploy to give up possession and try and become more transitional with Garnacho on the pitch?
I want to get back to Daniel's point. I think everybody mentioned in the post-match press conferences how tired they all were. So both of them, Bruno mentioned it. Bruno never talks about tiredness, but he was like, look, we were tired. I think Maguire, it's pretty interesting to me that Lenny Euro went off so early. Maguire went off as well. De Ligt looked injured throughout. I think I'll put this down to tiredness, to be honest, because they did play with 10 men, like Daniel said last week, for the best part of, 45 minutes plus 9 at the added on. A lot of it was sort of mid-block. A lot of the counters came from players who were defending. So Mazraoui went on a lot of counter-attacks. Bruno went on a lot of counter-attacks. So I think I'm going to put this one down to tiredness. And I do forget that this team is still going through an injury crisis of sorts. When you turn to the bench, there isn't really anybody there apart from the kids.
How do United change this? I mean, Real Sociedad on Thursday away, it's our most important game of the season, honestly. I mean, that could change as time goes on, but if United lose this one 3-0, that's it. Season's done. And we don't score goals. The most threatening looking attacker we've got is a 17-year-old kid we stole off Arsenal. He won't be in the team because United have fucked it. Properly fucked it. And so we're going to have no goals in 18 games, Rasmus Højlund up front, presumably. Like, are there any other changes we can? Surely Dorgu and Garnacho have to start.
They might play Xerxes up front, I would suggest, and put Garnacho as one of the 10s. That's something you could do. And then I don't know who the other 10 would be. Oh man,
it'll probably be the same. One sort of consolation that I will say is some of the best football that United have played under Amorim has come in Europa League because I don't know, maybe teams don't do their homework, maybe they don't watch the Premier League, but sometimes when I look at it, I go, this is prime Amorim football. They're doing all the things that they should do.
The style is probably more what he's used to, would be one thing. And the other thing would be, if you look at the teams United have played, they're all wank.
Yeah, there's that. Sociedad have a lot of injuries. So fingers crossed they don't even when teams do the things that the Premier League teams are doing, which is like press the 3 centre-backs and press the wide full-back, for some reason, United tend to find more space in the Europa League.
Sociedad have some injuries. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 at the moment. Bayende, Ahmad, Evans, Minu, Martinez, Short, Mount, and Collier. And then De Ligt was hobbling around. We'll see whether he's fit. It doesn't look like he didn't look in good shape, I have to say, for a lot of that game yesterday. But this is going to cause United a lot of problems because we have fewer options to change. And something needs to change. 25 games of Amorim, and it's been really bad.
I guess I'd quite, in a way, not mind if De Ligt was injured because I'd like a proper look at Heaven. I know in my mind, I guess I've sort of resolved that De Ligt isn't going to be good enough. So I'd like to see what Heaven can do. I mean, it'll probably end up being fucking Lindelof, won't it? Someone of whom I thought the last had been seen, but apparently not. I mean, he did score the winning penalty against Coventry, I think.
Yes.
Maybe it would have been Coventry or Brighton, one of those FA Cup semis.
He did score one of them, yeah.
He scored the winning penalty.
Yeah. We thought he was the Iceman from the spot. Yeah, turns out not. We will soon see the last of him, but he has one more joke or two to play on us before he leaves in the summer, unfortunately. But yeah, Dorgu back into the side, gives the side more balance. Garnacho surely has to start if United didn't play a bit of transitional football in this one, which I imagine
not even that. Just if they're going to attempt to even hint that they might score a goal, he has to be in the team because most of the stuff that looks like it might potentially, possibly, perhaps be dangerous before not being dangerous comes through with his involvement.
So what do we think the team looks like on Thursday then? I mean, are there options to change this around?
Garnacho's got to play. It makes no sense to not play him in the first place. Yeah, he's got to play. So it will be him. Part of me thinks, well, Højlund's actually done okay in Europe for us. So maybe we can get him to isolate that aspect, that fact, to somehow give him some confidence. But it might. And the thing is if we were to play Xerxes in the 9, we don't really have anyone but Christian Eriksen to play in the 10. I mean, maybe I'd be tempted to play Eriksen next to Ugarte, to play Bruno in the 10. But, I mean, it's shit and shite, all of this, isn't it, really? If one of the centre-backs is... I mean, it's at the point, and I said this on the main pod, where what I'm really trying to think about is how can we make, from now till the end of the season, and when I say that, I'm also bearing in mind the start of the following season, not just this ungodly stagger. And the only way really is to rely on players and to keep using players that you think are going to have a role for you going forward. So I'm playing Euro in almost every game because he's someone I know is going to be there. Dorgu I'm playing in almost every game. I want a good fucking look at Heaven. And that's what I'm thinking. It's not so much, I don't think that if we played Heaven instead of De Ligt or Maguire, it would materially affect the result, or that we like the difference between a draw and a win, or a draw and defeat, or whatever. I don't know. And so I think I might just stick with Højlund just to give him one more game, just in case, because there are no other options. Although yesterday, Dharnish, I thought you were quite harsh about De Ligt's passing because in the first sort of 10 to 15 minutes, he hits Dalot with 3 really good diags. Dalot just doesn't know what to do with the ball. And I'm hoping that Dorgu will have a better sense of what to do if he gets similar service.
It could be the difference of like watching it at home and watching it live, like genuinely. Because in the second half, I don't remember us progressing the ball much. And I remember him not hitting a lot of passes. I'll need to watch the game back. But the Europa League is incredibly important now. The only changes that you can make, you said, well, the lineup change. There isn't a choice. He doesn't have a choice but to stick with what we have. I know this team is bad, but it is going through an injury crisis as well. Patrick Dorgu will be back. well, he won't be suspended for the Europa League, which is good because whenever Patrick Dogu's played, Amrim's only signing. He looks like he knows what Amrim wants, and he's brave enough to take his man on. And all of a sudden, you get space on the wings, which is exactly what you need in an Amrim system.
Yeah.
Dogu, the three centre backs, and then your right back. I would like for them to be braver. I would like the wing back that isn't Dogu, whoever it is, Mazraoui, Dallo, please be braver. Ugarte, Fernandez, and I guess the front three kind of picks itself: Xerxes, Hoyland, and Garnacho.
How many goals between them in the last 10 games? Is it none?
Not many.
No,
Xerxes got one. Xerxes
When?
did score.
Xerxes scored against somebody.
Somebody. I can't remember. Ipswich. He scored against.
No,
Ipswich.
he did score against Ipswich. It was in the cup.
No, he managed to miss
Leicester.
that the corner, the free kick, sorry, for the first goal, the own goal. Both Xerxes and Hoyland miss it at the front post.
Well, not many goals in this team. Somehow we have to find something in order to make this season not a total disaster, but it could be all over on Thursday if United absolutely blow this. Daniel, Dharnish, thank you very much, chaps.
Such a shit show.